Ah, such a beautiful day. The sun is shining, the water is calming, and I am tanning my beautiful body. What could possibly go wrong? Hello? Yes, this is Wolfkeen speaking.
Wolfkeen, where are you?
The beach. Where else?
Where else? How about home doing your Johnny Bravo review for It's a Rerun?
Aw, come on. Can't we put it off a little longer?
No! Do you know how many favors, calls, and bribes I had to give in order for you to be given first dibs on this subject? Do you?
But my tan.
I don't care about your stupid tan. Get home now and get to work on the review, or so help me, you'll never work in this business again.
Managers. Welp, I need to review Johnny Bravo, but it would be such a waste to leave the beach now. Well, he didn't say anything about me doing it at the beach. So yeah, we'll do it at the beach. Wait, don't I need an intro or something? Oh, a fade to black. How original. Hello everyone, I'm Keen947, aka Wolfkeen, and welcome to It's a Rerun, where cartoons continue to be awesome. As you may have heard from my overbearing boss, today I'm going to talk about one of my favorite shows growing up as a kid, Johnny Bravo.
1, 2, 3, 4. Where there?
Johnny Bravo first aired in the late 90s, and let me tell you, this was one of the weirdest shows I ever grew up with. And that's saying a lot, considering what was around during the late 90s. Johnny Bravo did a lot of things that current generation cartoons cannot get away with anymore, and found a way to do them in such an appealing way. This is especially true since the show staff had animation legend Joseph Barbera as their creative consultant and mentor. So yeah, they had all the right elements to make a really good show. Now before I talk about the show, I've got one other thing I want to talk about, the writers of the show. Only two I know of who went on to do other shows. Butch Hartman, the maker of Fairy Oddparents, Danny Phantom, and Tough Puppy. And also... Seth MacFarlane? Really? He wrote for this show. Wow. It's a shame to see what he went on to do next. Anyways, enough beating around the bush. Let's talk about the show. The show stars Johnny Bravo, voiced by Jeff Bennett. Yes, that Jeff Bennett. The same Jeff Bennett who voiced a shit ton of characters in other Cartoon Network shows, and even in a few Disney shows. Basically, Johnny is your everyday suburban musclehead who acts and talks like a person you need to know, and even sounds like the late Elvis Presley. No, seriously, listen to the way he talks.
Hey, who's that handsome guy? Hello, 911 emergency. There's a handsome guy in my house. Oh, wait a second, cancel that. It's only me. Oh, you drive me wild.
And I thought the king from Fallout New Vegas was exaggerated. Anyways, the main point of this show is basically Johnny trying to pick up chicks and going on weird adventures due to it. I'm not kidding. That's the premise of this whole series. And what kind of makes this even worse in many cases is the underlying theme of the whole show, which we all missed as kids. The whole point of the show is Johnny trying to get laid.
You know, for kids!
And I'm not even kidding on this front, since both Johnny and his mom reinforced this fact in many episodes. Knowing this now as an adult makes it even funnier when Johnny gets rejected by the various women in hilarious ways. So yeah, this show is good for both kids and adults, since they can enjoy the slapstick and the various episode setups. It's crazy, since if a show like this was aired in today's media, it would be cancelled faster than a speedrunner beating Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes, which by the way, was pretty freaking fast. If you don't believe me, watch the show for yourself and you'll understand within the first 5 minutes. The show relies heavily on certain factors, which are the slapstick, Johnny getting rejected, the hilarious episode setups, and a couple of other variables. And these worked, but only for a while. The reason why I say this is because I felt that Johnny Bravo kind of stagnated after Season 2 since they added new characters. Don't get me wrong, I do like some of them, but most seem to detract from our main character, and that is a major problem since the show is about Johnny Bravo. I mean, his name is on the flipping title!
Not everyone has got their own weird show named after them.
Yeah, well, that's true. This show is weird.
What was Carl's purpose in the show besides getting punched by Johnny? What was Pop's purpose in the show besides giving Johnny his knowledge? I know, if they kept going with the same one-note jokes, it would get stale after a while. I could see this, but considering how much they were able to get away with, and the expansiveness of the jokes, I don't think it would have happened this quickly. In my opinion, they could have lasted 2 seasons before needing to add new characters. But that's just my own opinion. Speaking of characters, let's talk about them. Carl is pretty much your everyday nerd and gets hit by Johnny. Johnny's mom is an interesting character who likes to show off her various hidden talents. Little Susie is a very smart and cunning little girl who acts like a foil to Johnny's stupidity. And Pops? Well, he tries to help Johnny, but with no success. Yeah, besides Johnny, his mom, and little Susie, the rest of the characters are pretty flat. But in a strange way, it fits. Hear me out. Johnny is an Elvis impersonator, Carl is your everyday nerd, and little Susie is the smart little girl. For some reason, this all falls together really well and finds a way to make these personalities mesh together in a way only Johnny Bravo could. I know, it's weird. But I do have to address one thing with the characters, and that's when they have special guest stars in an episode. No lie, this show had a lot of special guests, and getting into them all would make for a long video on its own. Just know that the show tried to have as many 70s icons as possible in the Johnny Bravo Meets segments in Season 1, but began to use them more in the actual episodes in Season 2. 2 of these guest star episodes come to my mind. The episode where Johnny met the Scooby Gang, and the episode where Johnny met Adam f***ing West!
TV's Adam West!
Where? I love that gag.
These 2 episodes are so prevalent due to the fact that at the time, Scooby-Doo and Adam West were pretty big, and, to some extent, still are today. So if you couldn't tell, this show has a lot of pop culture references. So if you're a fan of pop culture references and 70s icons, this show will definitely be right up your alley. However, I do have a few problems with the show. First off is the humor. I'm not gonna lie. This show relies on a lot of slapstick and Johnny's idiocy to keep the viewers entertained. Now, if you are a fan of this kind of humor, since it has been used in shows like Tom and Jerry, you'll be enjoying yourself immensely. But if you're not into this kind of humor or kind of leery of it, this show can and will turn you off immediately, since they don't deviate from this too often. Second is that to some, this show can be seen as a little sexist.
Franny, a woman's place is in the kitchen.
Ugh, Andy, you're such a goo-goo head.
That line alone would get any guy beat to hell. Not to mention some of Johnny's pickup lines can also be insulting to women. So I can understand why some women and even guys say that this show comes off as a bit sexist. Finally, is that the show hits seasonal rot.
You've jumped the shark! That moment when a once great show starts going downhill.
After Season 2, you could tell that the show was slowly but surely decreasing in quality, and it just kept getting worse and worse from that point on. Hell, even when they retooled the show for Season 4, going back to the original format, you could still tell the show was decreasing in quality. This is what eventually led to the show being cancelled in 2004, which is a damn shame, especially considering that Johnny Bravo had a video game, some comics, and even some specials on Cartoon Network. So yeah, it is a shame to see this show go so early after having such a good beginning, but it's still a show that people need to watch. This show represents a time when shows didn't need to be so restrictive or safe. Take a look at modern cartoons today, and then take a look at cartoons like Johnny Bravo. Johnny Bravo was able to get away with a lot more than what modern cartoons could get away with today. And to me, this helps the show in both its quality and enjoyment. Because if Johnny Bravo was to be remade for the current generation, it would not be able to get away with the same kind of jokes and lines. In fact, the show would have to be aired on Adult Swim or something of the like in order for the show to reach its full potential. You know, that doesn't seem like such a bad idea when you think about it. Johnny Bravo on Adult Swim. It could work, but I digress. Thanks for hearing me talk about one of my favorite shows growing up as a kid, and I hope you'll check it out someday. Here's to Johnny Bravo. I've watched it, you have too. It's a rerun. Hey, Foxy Mama, how you doing? Oh crap, it's Ellie!
Hello, Wolfkeen. I see you're reviewing Johnny Bravo. Given that, allow me to respond in a manner that's appropriate to the show. Burn! Burn, you chauvinist!